Hello, welcome to today's podcast. My name is Kim, and I have the Wellness Space on Instagram. And this week I am podcasting live every day as we discuss all the layers of wellness. So if you missed it, yesterday was our day one. And yesterday, I've got all my notes here, so I don't forget anything. That's why I'm looking this way. Yesterday, we discussed everything to do with sleep, why we need sleep, how we can get good sleep, the importance of a good evening routine, and sleep is far reaching. So that was yesterday. If you want to go and have a listen, it's available on all platforms, and actually it's available on YouTube as well now if you prefer to watch, and you can get to see me. So today we are talking sunlight. So every day I am being a lot more visible within my Instagram account. Normally I tend to just do the mornings, and then it kind of trails off because I don't really want to be on Instagram 24/7 because we can drive ourselves nuts, can't we? But for this week, I wanted to make sure that I was on there pretty much all day. Although because I'm not normally there in the afternoon, I had to keep reminding myself I needed to be on there to share things. But I wanted to share what my normal, if that's, I don't know if that's the right word, life um, looks like, and how I navigate and bend and flex. Because, as I said yesterday, and as I'm always saying, we don't live in caves, and life happens, and we have to be able to deal with life, as well as keeping us at the priority for us to fill up our cup to make sure that we're living our best lives, because our wellness is so important. If we don't feel well, we can't support others. So yesterday was sleep. Second layer is sunlight. And this list that I'm doing this week, and the order that I'm doing it in, is purely what I think the order of importance should be. Quite often when you hear wellness, you hear food first, then you hear movement. Quite often you don't hear about sunlight. But I think that if we start with sleep and then we hit sunlight, we're getting good foundations. I will be talking about movement. I will be talking about food, because absolutely 100% it is really important. But I think that if you can get these few fundamental ones right at the beginning, it makes the movement and it makes the food easier. Not easy, but easier to maintain, because everything that we're doing is to move forward so that we can keep on track with where we want to be with our goals. And it's just small steps, small steps, small steps. So let's get on to sunlight. Why do we need to be out in the sunlight? We are quite scared, I would say, as humans these days, of sunlight. We know that if you get burnt or you're out in the sun too long, you can get skin cancers. We hear lots of scary stuff. And so also, I guess, because we are living a more technology-filled life, we tend to be shying away from being outside in the sunlight, which is a shame, because sunlight is really important, and it has very important, what's the word I'm looking for? Impact on our life, on our wellness. So if we get out in sunlight, we have better sleep. It can help us regulate our circadian rhythm. So just like we were talking, yesterday about going to bed at the same time every day so that we can enhance our sleep pattern, if we can be in sunlight for a minimum, say, of 10 minutes. Let's make it this achievable. I mean, 20 minutes, I think, is the optimum amount of time that I've heard where I've been studying this. But let's start with 10 minutes. I mean, if you're not getting any and you go out for 5 minutes, winner. Winning already. It's all about those small steps. It's all about tracking forward. So, but for argument's sake, we'll say 10 minutes a day. So when we're in the sunlight, It helps us regulate, or helps our body. We don't have to do anything. Our body does it because it's amazing. It helps regulate our melatonin. It increases it and decreases it when we need it. That's what helps us feel sleepy. That's what helps us go to sleep. So being out in the sunlight, regulating our circadian rhythm, helps the melatonin get its balance and find when it's supposed to increase and decrease. Because when we get up in the morning and we have bright light in our eyes, the melatonin stops because it knows we don't need to be asleep anymore because it's time to wake up. Whereas when in the evening, as it starts, we start to turn off our mobile phones, so we haven't got that artificial light in our faces. Then the melatonin comes in, and then we know it's an indication that we need sleep. So then we start to go to sleep. Excuse me. So this is a really important hormone, and just sitting in the sunlight in the morning is so helpful to get this hormone regulated. Also, oh, excuse me. Let me have a sip of my drink. Don't know what's going on with my throat. Being out in the sunlight also helps reduce stress. It also maintains strong bones because we're getting vitamin D. It strengthens our immune system because we're getting vitamin D. It helps, or can help, to reduce depression. It can help lift mood. Being in the sunshine, the other hormone that is affected by it is serotonin. This is the one that's responsible for our mood. So if we can get out, get some serotonin, it lifts our mood. And also, while I was studying this, I did read that it helps to keep our weight off. I'm not sure how I feel about that, because the danger is when you start to study these things and you start to find or try and find information, weight loss comes up in everything. Like, honestly, you would not believe the things that you can try to research, and the first thing is, oh yeah, if you do this, you'll lose weight. We know, we all know by now, and if you don't, I apologize. I think most people, I probably shouldn't generalize, most people know that if you want to lose body fat, you have to be in a calorie deficit. That's the only thing that actually makes you lose body fat. All the other things we do, wellness, or for our health, for strength, for stamina, for good sleep, so that we don't have brain fog. But so I always think it's a bit of a hook. They put these things out here. They know that people are vulnerable. They know that there's a lot of people out in the world that want to lose weight. So they seem to shove it in everywhere. Now, if we think about the big picture, does sunlight help to keep weight off? No, I would say if you just went and sat in the sun every day, you're not going to lose weight. Absolutely no. However, if you are getting good sleep, you're getting out in sunlight, you're spending time in nature, you're hydrated, you're moving every day, you're fueling your body with nutrition, then the byproduct of all of that, you may lose some body fat. So it's a byproduct. It's not a direct, it's not sit in sunlight, lose weight. That doesn't work. But it would be a byproduct of all the things. So I think that's a little bit misleading. And I think that's why when we study and learn about these things, it's really important to keep an open mind. That's why I like to use everything as an experiment to see, okay, so they're saying that this happened in this study. Let me see what it does to me. Because, of course, we know that there's studies out there for all sorts of things, paid by all sorts of companies to get the results that they want. And, it's like statistics. You can make statistics however you want them to look, but you need to try these things for you. So that's the why behind the sunlight. Now, I've written quite a lot of notes here because I wanted to before I get on to talking to you about a little bit about my routine and how I fit sunlight into my life, I think there are a few notes that we need to just take on board and be very aware of, because it is the sun, which is this giant ball of fire in the sky. And so we need to be sensible, don't we? So, sitting in the sun first thing in the morning as the sun rises, if you can, for 10 minutes, amazing. Don't stare directly at the sun. We know this. We know if we stare at the sun, our eyes are not going to like it. So don't stare directly at the sun. Blink often, even though we're wanting the sun to come into our eyes, to get into our body, because that's how it gets into our body, through our eyes, as well as through our skin. Blinking often, like don't stare at it. Don't force your eyes to not blink. Make sure you're blinking all the time. And don't get burnt. You know, sunrise is a really good time, because if you've watched any of my meditation space moments on Instagram, or you've seen my morning photographs, the sun is low. I have to wait for it to come up above the houses before I can actually see it fully. Um, but it's not at its full strength, because it's just, like all of us, it's just waking up, it's getting going. I mean, obviously the sun is at full strength. The sun doesn't dim. But for me to sit out in the garden at 6 o'clock in the morning as the sun rises is much, much safer than me sitting in the garden at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when the sun is really high and it's blazing. I would definitely burn. I would definitely damage my eyes. So, let's be sensible about this. We want to sit in the sun, but we do not want to damage our eyes, and we do not want to get burned. Um, the other thing I wanted to address is, what if there's no sun? We all live in countries that have clouds. Even here in Cyprus, we get clouds sometimes, small ones. But in all seriousness, like, we get clouds. Yesterday was a cloudy day. That doesn't matter. It's being outside. There's still UV rays. Even if you can't see the sun, the light outside is still much, much brighter than if you were sitting indoors with your main light on. So they've done studies. I can't remember what it's called, but there's like a machine that you can use that tests the brightness of light. And so even on a really grey, cloudy day, like your average early spring day in the UK, shall we say, like in February, there would still be more light received into your body than if you sat indoors with a light on. So that's a really good thing to remember. So it doesn't, don't think, oh, it's cloudy today, there's no point me going outside. Absolutely, you'll still get all of the benefits on that cloudy day of being outside as you would if the sun was there. The other thing is, of course, is if it's raining. Well, we don't want to sit out in the rain, do we? There's no fun in that. I'm not saying that. I would hate to think that you listen to this podcast and then we're sitting out in the rain because Kim said there's still UV rays, and Kim said it was better for me to be sitting out there than with my main light on. That's no fun. This is about wellness. You have to enjoy what you're doing. So if it rains, what do we do? Well, can you by a window and open the window up? Or could you stand by a back door or a front door and open that door? So you're still getting some of that light on you and in your eyes, but obviously not outside getting soaked, because who wants that? And the absolute last resort, if you can't do that, is you turn on your lights. So when you get up in the morning, so for example, when my alarm goes off, let's track it back a little bit further. If I have to get up in the middle of the night, which I do sometimes, I never turn the light on. I pad about in the dark. We have like a little tiny I don't know what you call it, like a night light, I suppose, where you press it, comes on, press it, goes back off again, which is a very, very dull light in our bathroom. I don't always use it, sometimes, but what it means is when I get up, pad to the bathroom, come back, my body's still quite sleepy, like, it doesn't really disturb me. I can get back in and go back to sleep straight away. When my alarm goes off at 6, I want to get up. So the first thing I do is turn the lights on. I turn my lamp on, I turn the main light on in the bedroom, I turn the light on in the bathroom, it's bright. It straight away tells my body it's time to get up. It's morning, waking up, let's go. So then I would go outside. If I can't go outside, I just need to make sure that my body still knows I'm not going back to bed. So lights are on. It's bright, curtains open. That thing that mums and dads do to their children, you open up the curtains. It's a beautiful day. Up you get, even if it's not, because, we've got to get on with our day. So even if you cannot get outside, you can't stand by the door, it's pouring with rain, you can still turn that light on. The melatonin hormone will still be affected, which still affects your circadian rhythm, which means that you're going to get good sleep. So we came all the way round back to sleep. Sleep is so, so important. I hope you got that from yesterday's podcast, but it's to revisit it, I think. So all these things that we're doing in the morning, first thing, help us with our sleep. And we know that if we get really good sleep, our day is going to go better than with no sleep. Not perfect. You notice I said it's not going to be perfect or easy. It'll be better. Nothing is perfect or easy. Okay, so what do I do? So I have played with this for a while, and I've tried sitting in different places, and I haven't been that consistent with it for that long. I would say this year is probably my best year, and we're nearly at the end of April, aren't we? So 4 months, I've been pretty good, pretty good. I would say January was really good. April's been really good. February was, I think I struggled a little bit in February. It was colder here. I don't know. It just didn't really gel in February. And March, we were traveling. So, excuse me. So, it was a bit stop-start. I was out of my normal routine. And so, yeah, it didn't quite work. But in saying that, over the 4 months, I have been more consistent than I was last year. So there we go. Tracking towards my goal. My goal is wellness. And all those little steps add up. We don't have to be 100% perfect all the time. We must remember that. We are human. We have to start with kindness. So I get up. My alarm goes off at 6. Most of the time, I get out of bed straight away. I come downstairs. I organise my lemon water. I usually flick the kettle on to start making coffee for my husband and I. And then while that's doing, I will collect up whatever I need to take outside. So at the moment for this week, because I'm sharing more on Instagram, I'm taking my earbuds, my phone, my glasses, my tripod for my phone outside so that I can do the meditation space. Generally, of a morning, I wouldn't be on my phone for the first hour of the day, sometimes 2 hours. If I've got accountability clients, then I would check in with them, and then that would be it. Put my phone away again because they're important. I like to start their day off in a nice, positive way so that we're winning. But I don't go on my phone for anything else. Like if there was an emergency, of course, but generally, I just like to have that first hour. Actually, it's silent. Like I don't speak to my husband. He's doing his thing. And it's just really nice. It's really peaceful. It's calm. I really like the morning routine that I've got at the moment. So I would gather those things together. I'll make the coffee and then I just leave it on the side to cool. And I go out in the garden and I've got my chair that I like to put so that as the sun comes up, it comes sort of on me. And while the sun's coming up, while I'm sitting getting all of that good sunlight on my skin, in my eyes, helping the hormones regulate, I that's when I do my breath work, that's when I do my meditation, and then I listen to an audiobook for 20 minutes. So by the time I've done all of that, I've been up for about an hour, and it makes me feel so good. Now, obviously, the breath work and the meditation really makes me feel good too. But actually, being outside in the garden in the sun, it makes me feel awake. So, and obviously, I know that my serotonin levels have come up because I've had all that lovely sunshine and a U or UV ray coming into my body and into my eyes. And so it's a really, really good way to set yourself up. Now, I appreciate that I live in Cyprus and it's beautiful and it's warm. Um, but if you can get yourself in a routine, even when I was in the UK and it was raining, I was still getting up, opening the curtains, putting the light on, opening the back door. I didn't actually go out and sit in the garden because I was freezing, but I was definitely standing by the back door, had my slippers on, wrapped up, had a cup of coffee to keep my hands warm. But I was still getting all that good stuff on my face, in my eyes, on my skin. And it's so good, and the more you do it, the better you feel, so the more you want to do it, like anything. So, this wellness can be addictive. Once you have worked out what works for you, it feels easier. Like, everything at the beginning feels difficult, doesn't it? Change is hard, and then in the middle, it gets a bit messy because we're not quite sure what we're doing and if this works or that works. But once we've nailed what works for us, it's a dream, an absolute dream. So that's what I've got to say about sunlight, which actually seemed to be quite a lot, didn't it? You wouldn't think someone could talk for so long about sunshine. So thank you so much for listening to this podcast today. I really hope you have enjoyed it. Share it with your friends if you loved it, if you think it will help them. Go and find me on Instagram, which is Kim's Wellness Space. And I'll put a link in the details of the podcast. But yeah, come over, enjoy the meditation space that I'm sharing every day at the moment if you want to, in whatever way feels comfortable for you. If you haven't listened to yesterday's podcast about sleep, go check it out. And there's a sleep post and a sunlight post on my Instagram feed today. And have a wonderful day. And I will speak to you tomorrow. And tomorrow we are talking nature. So, yeah, have a wonderful day. And I will speak to you all soon.